Hey guys, it's LSuperSonicQ here with another video. This time it's an episode of the In-Depth series, a series that has not gotten a whole lot of episodes as of recently, but I thought it was about time we review some more clay figures, and these guys are some obscure ones. This is a second look at some more obscure clay figures, and just in my terms of defining obscure, it's pretty much either a very minor character from a larger franchise that I'm probably never going to sculpt again, or even a character, the star of their own franchise, but I've never sculpted any other characters from that franchise. I'm probably hardly ever going to sculpt that main character again. So you'll see as I go through the models. Let's start off though with, well, I guess all these guys really haven't been seen in a while. But let's start off with Mega Man. So he hasn't been seen since Video Game Clay Figure Models 9, I believe, which was last year. And for a first Mega Man, he sculpted pretty good. I do remember I had a lot of trouble with the face, though. That had to be redone 3 times. The nose is actually sculpted kind of right onto the face because they had to kind of use that as guidelines as to where the eyes would go because it was just really hard to capture, Mega Man's face. But I think it looks pretty good, pretty, accurate in terms of a classic Mega Man, which is what I was going for. Rather three-dimensional, maybe in my opinion a little bit too plain just looking at him a second look. I mean, I tried to add some little kind of shading and stuff onto his, headgear, but I don't know, just maybe could have made him a little bit more, Mega Man-esque. I feel like he's rather just one kind of monotone blue, but I guess classic Mega Man pretty much doesn't have a whole lot of detail to him anyway, but I don't know, the build is pretty good and stuff, just standing in a standard pose. Proportions aren't too bad. Maybe I would have liked to have gotten a little bit more just kind of symmetrical with, the shoulders a little bit more, slouching than this one. But I mean, overall, it's a Mega Man. And as I said, for a first one, certainly not bad at all. And he's pretty large too. I'm gonna say maybe 6 or 7 inches. So that's Mega Man. The next obscure character is Pac-Man, who has also not been seen since Video Game Clay Figure Models 9, and I do feel like he has a bit more validity now that he's in Smash 4. I know Mega Man is too, but I don't know. I feel like Pac-Man is more kind of Nintendo than Mega Man is. But anyway, yeah. So this Pac-Man was sculpted based on the Pac-Man World 2 artwork, which is probably, not that I've played a whole lot of Pac-Man games, but probably one of my favorite Pac-Man games that I have played. At least, definitely my favorite kind of design for Pac-Man. I really like that appearance, so that's what I base this model off of. And yeah, again, kind of with Mega Man, this was a first. I haven't really sculpted any other Pac-Man, way back when, or if I did, they were really bad, So this is really a first, pretty much probably a first and only. But he's, three-dimensional, pretty proportional. The only things I can kind of nitpick about is that I kind of wish the boots were maybe sculpted a little better. They're a little bit, I don't know, I don't think they're necessarily the right shape. And he had to go through some repairs and stuff because I think he fell over and I had to patch up his leg. And there's some color bleeding in the arm. It's a little more orange because of the gloves than the rest of his face, but I guess I can't really do too much about that. And I mean, it's a pretty accurate, spot on Pac-Man. Um, and it's pretty much all there is to it. He's not as big as a Mega Man, he's probably maybe like 4 inches or so, maybe 3 to 4. We'll call him 4 inches. So that's Pac-Man, and those are actually the only two models sculpted out of colored clay for this video. These other ones were painted. So next up is a clay figure from 2011. Actually, that was a really long time ago. I wrote the date on the bottom of his foot, and it's a Dark Chao. So, not that the chows are necessarily obscure, but I haven't actually made really nice chows like this in a long time. Obviously, this one's from 2011, and there's some other ones I made, even before that. But the dark chow, this dark chow, I originally made because I was going to make this line of chow clay figures and put them for sale on like eBay. But I never really got around to it. This guy was sculpted with plans to go online, but I actually liked him so much that I didn't want to sell him, and then that kind of brought the downfall of the other Chao characters I was going to make because I'm like, well, if I'm not going to sell this one, I'm definitely not going to sell other ones I make. So he's kind of obscure in that sense, and again, I don't really sculpt the Chaos or anything, but pretty nice looking Dark Chow, you know. The facial detail, the colors are really, really good on the eyes and the mouth. I try to do some blending here on the chest, and it's pretty proportional again. The wings, I kind of question if I just kind of made that up on a whim, because I think they're kind of more like bat wings. But the tail is pretty nice. I think it fell off a couple of times. It's really, really thin. Just glued on there ever so slightly. And this is pretty cool. I always had trouble trying to sculpt the little spike ball that the Chaz had. So I kind of just, made a bunch of pointed, I guess shapes and kind of just put them together. Um, and that worked out pretty well, actually. And it's just attached by a really thin kind of wire. Um, like if you go to the grocery store or whatever and you see those twist ties that you use to like tie up like bags of fruit or whatever, if you just take all the that like whatever color it is, like the green paper or whatever, off of the twist tie, then you got the wire. That's all I used, and it works pretty well. So again, just a little nice Chow who's he's been sitting on kind of my like my quote favorite clay table for like what seems like forever. I mean, he's been around, and I've never really acknowledged him again, just because of the fact that he was supposed to be for sale, and then I didn't sell him, and he's just kind of been sitting around um, as a model that I really liked. So that's the Dark Chow. The next model is one of my earlier painted clay figures, and for being so early on in my painted clay figure career, I'm pretty surprised he turned out this good. And it's E101 MK2. This guy has not been seen since Video Game Clay Figure Model 6, I believe, and I want to say that was around 2011 or so. But anyway, yeah. So again, this is the last boss in Gamma's storyline from Sonic Adventure. So pretty, a rather obscure character. But I really like him though. For some reason, I just really liked him, and I wanted to sculpt the model of him and stuff. I think all the Gamma kind of robots are really cool anyway. So there's a lot of refined detail on the face and just pretty much all the components. I really don't know how I got it to look this good so early on in my painting career. I mean, my brushes now, I have enough time. I have enough trouble trying to get in all these little intricate, dots and stuff on my more advanced models. And I don't know what kind of brushes I was using back then. And this model is a lot smaller than, some of the other painted models that I have trouble trying to paint details on. So to do that, I'm pretty impressed with myself, for that long ago. But the sculpt is pretty good. I think the only thing I can kind of complain about is I wish the back was a little bit bigger, because he's kind of bigger in the back. I feel like he kind of this model thins out toward the back. But I mean, aside, you know who it is. It's still really nice to look at. And again, the base has the little arena where you battle him on, and he's actually being supported by this really makeshift toothpick kind of thing. Well, he does stand up as well, because the bits of his claws kind of go into the ground. So I mean, if it wasn't for that, he'd probably fall over. But from an engineering standpoint, and definitely a painting standpoint, it's definitely one of the better looking painted models. I would say, at least from back during this time. So yeah, E101 MK2, and now we got some larger models, so we'll have to make some room. Alright, so this next model is again from Video Game Clay Figure Models 9, as Pac-Man and Mega Man were from, and it's Lance. So I probably shouldn't have to explain why this is obscure, because unlike, again, all these characters just kind of being minor, whatever characters from video games, Lance, again, is the protagonist, or one of the protagonists from Symbionic Titan, canceled Cartoon Network cartoon. So I don't really sculpt, cartoon characters, and I don't sculpt anime characters really anymore. So this guy is really obscure in that sense, but also because I doubt I'm probably ever going to sculpt any more characters, from Titan or anything. But pretty much what I wanted to do was, because Cartoon Network never made a figure line of this show, and I really thought they were going to, or at least I was hoping they were gonna. I thought I could try my own hand at sculpting, so it's gonna be really hard to show because he's really large. I mean, Mega Man. I said Mega Man was like 7 inches, and look, Lance is like that big. So Lance is at least 10 inches, or so. But the sculpt is pretty good, for Lance. The face and stuff. I remember I spent a lot of time on the face trying to get the hair to look right. I think I got it to look pretty good. And the face is kind of more just painted on rather than I want to say like sculpted on. Like the nose is just flat. It's just paint, and the eyes I just kind of put onto the face. They're not actually three-dimensional clay. But I tried to get the biggest part of this model that I tried to get right was the appearance of the characters in the show and how that could relate to the clay. I made his body slim, kind of these chest lines. I made the arms as thin as I could. Kind of tried to square the hands out because again the characters have kind of squarish hands and stuff in the show, and his legs are pretty lanky and stuff. His shoes trying to again make look a little bit more as I mentioned with Pac-Man, they were kind of flat. I tried to make these look as kind of full as I could. So together, yeah, this is Corporal Lance, and he's pretty good, especially again kind of for a first and probably only Lance. I did have that one is in his military outfit that went unfinished, and I was planning on doing some more, but I doubt that's actually gonna happen anytime soon. The only thing I could really complain about though is that I kind of wish it was a little smaller, and I think when I originally was sculpting these, I was anticipating that more along the lines of a 5-inch figure. But of course that didn't happen. So, and the colors are pretty good too. The shirt color was hard to get along with the pants and stuff, but I think I stayed pretty authentic to the show from the limited amount of stills that I had at my disposal. All right, so the last model here that I want to show is probably my second largest, I think. Lance actually might be, actually. Let me just... Nope. Lance is not bigger than this model I'm showing off right now. And again, he has not been seen since Video Game Clay Figure Models 9. And it's Kyle Hyde from the Hotel Dusk series. It's a series of, it's a series of 2. Video games on the Nintendo 3DS. It's one of my favorite games that I've played. This is actually Kyle Hyde from his last window, which is the sequel to Hotel Dusk appearance, and his jacket and tie, not so much his overcoat or whatever. But anyway, so this I'm gonna say is I've got to turn back the camera up, man. This is a really nice kind of, I wouldn't even call it a resculpt. I'd almost call it a first sculpt. In light of the one I made in 2011, which went unfinished as a prototype, because there was something about the hair and kind of the position I didn't like. This one, though, I feel like I captured that really well. I spent a lot of time on the hair, and the problem with Hotel Dusk artwork and Kyle Hyde artwork is that it looks different from every angle. There's so much kind of contradiction I find in a lot of the pictures, from the in-game black and white, images to the official artwork, depending on which angle you're looking at. So I tried to do my best with the hair from all the angles I could, and I think I got it the best that I really could get it, which is pleasing to me. The face, the nose is three-dimensional, sculpted on there, but otherwise the detail I kind of drew on with pencil, or well, with like a manga pen. Wish I could get a bit of a clearer shot, but there's a lot of detail in there. I thought it would look better because, again, if you've ever seen the artwork for this game, it's really kind of black and white, sketchy. And speaking of kind of the artwork, I tried to incorporate in terms of the color art some various shades in his hair. Like I got some blue over here and some different bluish tones in his shirt and stuff. I tried to kind of combine a couple different techniques without going all out on one specific one. I think above all, though, the pose that he's standing in is really nice. I can't really get a good thing here because my camera just won't allow it. But if you go on into the Video Game Clay Figure Models 9 video, he's in this, and I think I had some production pictures on my blog at one point too from like last year. Maybe I can do this. Just the way that his legs are kind of proportioned along with, his body, the way his arms just kind of, go down his body and his hands into his pockets. It just, in the base too, kind of just emphasizes the posture of this figure. So I think that above all is definitely one of the more noticeable really well done attributes to this clay model. But otherwise, yeah, again, kind of a first. I wouldn't mind, and I've actually had plans to sculpt some other Kyle Hydes and stuff. I just haven't gotten around to it. And again, I think this model turned out a lot bigger than I thought, but I've actually, before this one, I had the prototype that I did, and then I tried a couple other sculpts, and I didn't, and I got as far as the head, and I just thought it looked awful. So to have finally a completed Kyle Hyde clay model, it's pretty cool. And again, for a video game series that I think is incredibly underrated, and it definitely should not be. It's just a really great game. I'm glad to finally have a figure kind of to accompany that appreciation for the game. So let's put him over there. And I guess this is kind of the picture we're going to get. I could go up a little more. There we go. Yeah, so this was the second look at some obscure clay models of mine. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, it's summer, so more videos soon. Thanks for watching. I'm LSuperSonicQ. Finn.